tracks across time slots and offering a rare glimpse into tensions behind the scenes at the top-rated cable network. I don't say news because, again, let me spell it out. Fox is not news. That is a period, end of story. Matter of fact, here's how it all started. I have this clip. It runs about 1 minute, 18 seconds. This is Judge Andrew Napolitano appearing on Shepard Smith's show on Monday of last week. And he is asked about Trump and impeachment and whether what Trump is alleged to have done is a crime. Take a listen.
Fox News senior judicial analyst Judge Andrew Napolitano is here. We've had lots of busy news days, but getting your hands around all that's happened today is very difficult. So I want to break this down to something very simple.
Sure.
The president admits that on a phone call with the president of Ukraine, he requested that the president of Ukraine investigate his 2020 political rival, Joe Biden. Is that a crime?
It is a crime for the president to solicit aid for his campaign from a foreign government.
So that would be that to which the president has admitted is in and of itself a crime.
Yes, this is the same crime for which the Trump organization was investigated by Bob Mueller, who decided not to seek an indictment because there wasn't enough evidence.
Well, no, he said he didn't seek an indictment because he wasn't charged because of the DOJ rule that said you can lay it out, but you can't charge.
That's on the obstruction of justice, on whether or not there was a conspiracy between the Russians and the Trump campaign. He said there's some evidence, but not enough to indict. It's the same crime, an agreement or a solicitation for assistance for an American campaign regulated by the Federal Election Commission where you are seeking the assistance from a foreign government. That's the crime.
Yep, so that was on Monday afternoon. Here's what happened Monday night. Former federal prosecutor Joe DeGenova, a former winner of Douchebag of the Week on this very show,
he's in the club.
He appeared on Tucker Carlson's show that night.
Yep.
And here's what he had to say about Napolitano.
Joe DeGenova is a former U.S. attorney for the District of Columbia, federal prosecutor, and he joins us tonight. Joe, thanks so much for coming on.
You bet.
So it's hard with a story this political to get to the basic legal questions here. So to what the president did or said he did in this conversation with the head of state of Ukraine. Now, I heard today, in fact, on our air, I heard Judge Andrew Napolitano say that what the president has admitted to doing is a crime. Quote, it's a crime. Is it a crime? You're a former federal prosecutor.
Well, I think Judge Napolitano is a fool, and I think what he said today is foolish. No, it is not a crime. Let me underscore emphatically that nothing that the president said on that call or what we think he said on that call constitutes a crime. And even if he had said, you're not going to get the money, it would not be a crime.
So that's Joe DeGenova's take there, I should say. As a former federal prosecutor, well, Shepard didn't like being called out like that on Tucker Carlson's show. He didn't like DeGenova calling Napolitano a fool. So Shepard Smith, let me read this here again. This is back to the story at the New York Times. Shepard Smith, the network's chief news anchor, fired back the next afternoon, declaring it repugnant that a guest would insult a Fox propaganda colleague and adding pointedly that the remark had gone unchallenged by Carlson. So I guess this started last week, Tuesday, and then it picked up steam Tuesday night, and then last week, Wednesday, was when Shepard Smith made the comment that it was repugnant. Well, Wednesday night, Tucker Carlson responded and had Joe DeGenova back on the air. Take a listen to this.
Yesterday, Judge Andrew Napolitano, who is a legal analyst at Fox and a very nice guy, I will say, I've always liked him, went on one of our daytime shows and declared that the president's phone call with the head of Ukraine was a crime. Well, apparently, our daytime host, who hosted Judge Napolitano, was watching last night and was outraged by what you said and, quite ironically, called you partisan. Here's what he said.
A partisan guest who supports President Trump was asked about Judge Napolitano's legal assessment. And when he was asked, he said, unchallenged, Judge Napolitano is a fool. Attacking our colleague who's here to offer legal assessments on our air in our work home is repugnant.
Repugnant. Not clear if that was you or me, but someone's repugnant. Now, unlike maybe some Dayside hosts, I'm not very partisan, and it was a sincere question. Is it a crime or not? So given everything that's happened in the last 24 hours, I just want to throw it to you again. Was it a crime or not?
Absolutely not.
People with goodwill have differing views.
Yes.
And so that's why it doesn't seem honest to me when a host on any channel, including this one, pretends that the answer is obvious. There is an ironclad consensus about what the answer is, when there in fact isn't. Wouldn't it be better if we just said out loud, this is what I think? And I'll just say, for example, you'll never hear me criticize Rachel Maddow.
Oh, really? Oh, I'm sure that he has in the past. I guarantee it. Oh, but Jack, Tucker Carlson isn't partisan whatsoever. Yeah, sure you're not, Tucker. Sure you're not. What a jackass.
Well, it sent a chill through their conservative bones when he said it's a crime.
Yep.
Let's face it.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
it is a crime. I don't care who said it. Fox News, FAUX, it makes no difference.
Yeah.
Look at the content of the phone call, which now has been identified as missing 20 minutes of actual dialogue, conversation. I'm not going to call it transcript, even though I said the word. It's not. What you have is a bleach, boiled-down rendition from the White House with one objective, and one objective only. That's to eradicate any nuanced mention, words, or reflection that would indicate a pro-quid quo.
Quid pro quo.
Got it reversed.
Yep.
They did that on purpose. They purposely knew their defense all week long was going to be, there's no pro in there. There's none. There's none whatsoever. Well, they made sure there was none in there.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it's quid pro quo or not.
There's now been parallel conversations and phone calls that have come to light, where the word favor was actually used. Give us what we want, the favor. And the Republicans are losing the hanger they've been hanging their defense on, which is supposedly nothing in there is manifesting anything wrong or illegal, particularly the legal term quid pro quo. Pro quid quo. Is that it?
No, quid pro quo.
There we go.
Yep. The cues on each end. Yep.
That's gone. What are they going to latch on to next?
Well, there's a little bit more to this story here. The on-air bickering came as Fox journalists, God, that's a misnomer, embarked on a sensitive task covering the details of Trump's interactions with Ukraine, even as their network star commentators have striven to dismiss the matter as a witch hunt led by Democrats. On Friday, Chris Wallace, the Fox Propaganda Sunday anchor, observed that the spin from Trump's defenders, quote, is not surprising, but it is astonishing, and I think deeply misleading, end of quote. Wallace did not specify which defenders he was referring to, but liberals were quick to point out that Fox Propaganda's primetime host had been among Trump's most vocal allies in the past few days. On Thursday of last week, Sean Hannity opened his program by addressing, in his words, quote, the radical, destructive, delusional Democratic Party and the media mob, their allies in crime, which has now descended into complete and utter madness, end of quote. Boy, does that sound more like what's happening at the Trump White House. Let me reread that. The radical, destructive, delusional, let me modify it here. Let me put Republican in instead of Democrat, because this is the truth here, folks. You'll get the truth from Southpaws. The radical, destructive, delusional Republican Party and the media mob known as Fox Propaganda Channel, their allies in crime, which has now descended in complete and utter madness. That sounds much better, doesn't it? But going back to the story, Fox Propaganda said that Wallace was not referring to his primetime colleagues. Friction between Fox's news reporting staff, again, that makes my skin crawl, and its pro-Trump lineup of primetime commentators is not new. Journalists in the network's Washington bureau have grumbled about the president granting interviews to pundits like Hannity rather than the White House team. What was unusual was the spectacle of network personalities clashing on air. Under the iron rule of its former chairman, Roger Ailes, overt conflict between hosts was quickly snuffed out. That Carlson and Smith traded jabs over 36 hours suggested that Ailes' style of harsh discipline had eroded at the network. Then, we have this clip from earlier in the week. This is from The Five, and I can't stand this show. I hate The Five. Juan Williams, who is the quote-unquote liberal pundit, I've never heard of him before and I have no idea what accomplishments he's ever had suggested that his conservative co-hosts were echoing talking points from the White House. So Greg Gutfeld got on Juan Williams. This runs about 1:43. A lot of this sounds like the time that Nate Kettle tried talking over the top of me when he tried to vote shame me and gaslight me on the air live. So take a good listen to 1:43 worth of garbage. Greg Gutfeld talking over the top of Juan Williams on The Five.
Juan, do you think that the Democrats should have waited until they'd seen the transcript and the whistleblower before they move forward, as Nancy Pelosi did last night?
No, I think that based on what we know and what has been proven in terms of the release, it's not a transcript per se, it's more a memo written of people who understood or heard the conversation. I think that they were exactly right. You know, today apparently the White House talking points got leaked to some Democrats. But I think it's leaked farther.
They weren't leaked. They were accidentally emailed to them.
Yeah,
that's not leaked.
Emailed. Well, yeah, accidentally. They didn't intend it, so I guess it was leaked. But I think, just listening here, I think, boy, those talking points, they've made the rounds because the reality is...
Wait, what does that mean? Whoa.
No,
what does that mean? Are you saying that I got talking points, Juan? No, you got to answer. You got to answer to the accusation.
Are you telling me I was told what to say about the White House?
No, I'm saying they're all around. But here's
are you telling me
you had a whole day to talk. You didn't have to. Let's get Katie in. At least she has something to say that's original.
Here we go. Asking a foreign government to investigate a political rival is illegal.
Oh.
It's illegal. Okay. It's a violation of the Constitution.
Did you get that from Media Matters, Juan?
And the constitutional oath is that the president should protect and defend the Constitution of the United States. Okay. And by the way, this isn't just
so he's supposed to look away from potential corruption. How's that protected?
No, you can't because you accuse us of reading talking points.
Here's what it is. Judge Napolitano, who's our senior news analyst, he says, what does he say? You don't need a quid pro quo. You just need to ask a foreign government to interfere in this conversation.
Jeez. I hate to say it, but I will anyway. Greg Gutfeld is an asshole.
Yeah, he really is. And I now know who this one is.
Yeah?
Yeah, I've seen him on Fox. I don't watch Fox very often. I know who he is. He's a black man.
Yep.
And what he's saying is foundational. Mm-hmm. It's illegal.
Yeah.
You can't go and dig out dirt. You can't do it. And Trump has admitted it.
Yeah, you can't ask a foreign country to dig up dirt.
Yeah, exactly. And Americans aren't being fooled by this Fawn News opinion piece. Mm-hmm. A ABC News press poll found that 64% of Americans believe that Trump tried to pressure Ukraine for dirt on Biden, and the vast majority aren't surprised. Okay, I mean that's a pretty high percentage, and it's been trending up. 54% of those polls stated that they were following the story very closely. This is getting gravitas. There is a lot of attention with this. Mm-hmm. The number of people who are not following the scandal closely tracks with the low-end range of Trump's approval rating. It's a trend that has been in this place since Trump ran for president. That's 35% of people who can't spell orthodontist. When bad news comes, the president's biggest supporters ignore it. Trump's base will never be swayed away from him. So when you say 64%, that means you add, 30-some to get to 100, right?
Yep.
And that's a concrete base of idiots.
Yep.
It won't change.
It pretty much is. Let me continue the story here. Again, this is the New York Times. Wallace, in his appearances last Friday on Fox Propaganda Channel, offered a grim analysis of Trump's political standing, even as he made clear he did not view impeachment as inevitable.